Welcome to the Men's Mental Health Podcast with your host, Dr. Daniel Bates, licensed professional clinical counselor, educator, researcher, and longtime advocate for men's mental health. Each episode, Dr. Bates unpacks the science of men's mental health, from addiction, help-seeking, and male depression to culture and masculinity. You'll hear interviews with leading scholars and candid conversations with everyday men who've struggled and overcome, with insights drawn from Dr. Bates' 15 years of clinical practice serving men in Kentucky and Ohio. Whether you're a professional, a partner, or a man searching for practical tools, this show delivers evidence-based strategies you can use right now. No jargon, just real talk. Let's redefine what real strength looks like. Let's dive in.
The trans-theoretical model of change. That's from Norcross and DiClemente. And what they suggest is that change occurs through a series of steps that starts with pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, relapse, hopefully not relapse, and then back to pre-contemplation. And so I've had folks who have said to me, I didn't pursue therapy for the longest time because I knew I was struggling. I knew there were some issues, but I couldn't define the problem. And the way I conceptualize and understand that is those people are in my finger doesn't go all the way up, to the pre-contemplative stage. That stage is where you have some idea of the problem, but you're not quite sure what it is. And what I've found is that people think they can only go to therapy when they're in the contemplative stage. They're aware of the problem and they have some motivation for change. And so now that I can describe it, I can identify it, I can name it, now I can go to therapy. And what I want to say is that's a myth. People have delayed going to therapy, some for years, because they thought I have to get to that contemplative stage. And what I want to say is you absolutely can come to therapy when you're in the pre-contemplative stage. Again, that's where I have some semblance of an idea. I'm aware that I'm struggling. I just don't know why. You can come to therapy when you don't know the why. I think this is the big selling point of therapy. So this graph is from the common factor research. There's a number of researchers involved in this, but what it shows is that the biggest factor that's involved in client change is really about 14%. Therapy delivers about 14% of client change. Client change is due to actually 86% of extra therapeutic factors. That could be a change in job, a family member passes away and you get a huge inheritance. I don't know, the person that you're pursuing romantically finally says yes to you. Those are the things that account for change. So therapy is only responsible for a little sliver of what accounts for change. But the biggest factor is the relationship. When we can build a powerful, strong relationship with our clients that allow them to feel safe and comfortable and to explore. So if you come to therapy, you have a good therapist and they bond with you and they connect with you and they understand your story and how you think and how you feel and the family of origin that you came from, what were the norms, and they connect with you on that deep level, you feel safe and secure, and then you can start to speculate. You can start to wonder aloud. You can start to think, well, maybe this or maybe that. Because oftentimes, like I said, people who are in the pre-contemplative stage, you are allowed to come to therapy, you are allowed to not know the problem, and then to explore. The beauty of therapy is the relationship that allows you to explore. And then the therapist acts as a mirror. A good therapist will reflect back to the client what they're hearing and what they're understanding. From an educated place, right? I could get reflections back from any Joe Schmo on the street, and maybe their gut is not very good, or they're clouded with their own thoughts and feelings. A good therapist will hold space for the client, meaning I am kind of vacating my own thoughts and feelings, so to speak, the concerns with myself, and giving 100% of my attention to the client, so that I can hear and listen and reflect back to them what I'm hearing. And again, that helps the client move from the pre-contemplative stage to the contemplative stage. So now that you've had that really great therapeutic relationship with your therapist and that person has allowed you to explore and understand yourself, you might be ready to go to contemplative stage. And I've had a client, I think I saw that person for maybe 9 months. And they said, only now am I figuring out why I'm here. And that's not uncommon. I've had many people come where they say, well, here's the problem why I'm coming. All my friends and family say I need to come. Or I think it's this. I think I'm really just really angry and I don't know why I'm so angry. And then we build a good relationship. I listen to their story. We talk, we probe, we dig. And then they can say, oh, that's not really why I'm here, is it? I'm actually here for this other issue. And now I've only come to an understanding of it through a conversation with you. So that's the cool part about therapy. That's the thing that gets me jazzed. I'm jazzed. I love therapy. I'm addicted to it. I think it's so cool that I get to do that with people. I think we imagine that we have to have ourselves figured out, and you don't have to have yourself figured out. You can come and experience a helpful, kind, empathetic relationship that helps you figure yourself out. And then once you do that, it's really cool because then you can define the problem. You can get a sense of maybe a couple ideas. Again, you don't have to know the problem. I'll help you figure that out. You don't have to know the solutions. We will help you figure that out. And so what I say to patients is that change in solutions is almost like, cooking pasta. I'm going to cook this pasta and I'm going to start throwing noodles against the wall to see what sticks. I may have to cycle through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ideas. And so only when I go from contemplation to preparation to action do I start to figure things out. So contemplation is the awareness of the problem, and then I start generating some ideas. Preparation is I've whittled, 20 ideas down to 3, and I'm really going to put 3 of these into action. I'm going to do it this week at this day and time and see how it goes. Then you take the action. And then I say to patients, you are the scientist and the lab rat. You're running experiments on yourself to see what sticks. And so I'll spend a lot of time with patients just in this bubble here of cycling through ideas, seeing what works, and through a process of trial and error, keeping what works and tossing out what doesn't. And then only then do we go to maintenance. Now, I really don't want patients to experience relapse, but I'm not afraid of it. Relapse just is information. So I say to clients all the time, there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. So if you do relapse, that's information about something that didn't work for you. And so then we go back to the pre-contemplative stage and we go back to the drawing board. We see something that we missed. Maybe we had only 80% of awareness about the problem. We were missing a really critical 20%, right? So then we go through the process again, generate ideas, put them into action, throw noodles against the wall, trial and error, see what works, and then try to see how that stays in maintenance. So the relapse language might make you think of drugs and alcohol, but relapse would just be like relapsing into the problematic behavior. And that could be anything, right? It could be whatever, losing your temper, going to bed too late. Relapse could be a lot of different things. So, hey, if you like that video, like and subscribe. Also, let me know what you think. Do you feel that pressure to have it all figured out before you go to therapy? Or do you see therapy as the vehicle for achieving that understanding? Let me know what your thoughts are.
Thanks for listening to the Men's Mental Health Podcast with Dr. Daniel Bates. If today's conversation resonated with you, tap follow and share the episode with someone who could use it. Every episode is on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and watch bonus clips on YouTube. Just search Dr. Daniel Bates, PhD. For show notes, free resources, and ways to learn more about Dr. Bates' research, visit drdanielbates.com. And if you enjoy deeper dives, subscribe to our Substack, Men's Mental Health at Counselor Dan. Remember, asking and receiving help is a strength, not a weakness. Until next time, take care of yourself and the men in your life.